I can't find my bracelet. My mother-in-law must have taken it again. Stop complaining. It's from Mom, just deal with it. My mother-in-law has a habit of taking my things without asking, and my husband always sides with her. Why won't he stand up for me? I'm really struggling here. Then, something unexpected happened. My husband's luxury car was stolen. I knew who did it. My name is Emma. I'm 28 years old, and my happy life with my husband Ethan started to change about a year into our marriage. We both work, but I finish earlier, so I get home to prepare dinner. One day, while waiting for him to come home, he dropped a bombshell. Mom's coming to stay with us next week. What, you mean she's staying overnight? Ethan sighed and replied, she's not just staying, she's moving in. Moving in? But, why? She's been alone since Dad passed, and she's getting older. It's hard for her. Hold on, you can't just decide this. We have our own lives too. At least give me some time to think about it. Despite my plea, Ethan just grinned and said, it's fine. Mom wants to feel secure. She's lonely. I get that. But why are you so mad? It's already decided. Ignoring me, Ethan left the room. I was left frustrated. How could he make such a big decision without talking to me first? I still had to adjust. No matter what, Ethan never helps around the house, and now I had to adjust to living with his mom. We've talked about it before, but every time, Ethan just shuts me down, saying it's already been decided. Sure enough, the next week, my mother-in-law moved in. If she was a nice person, I wouldn't mind living together, but she always makes snide comments and treats me badly. That's why I avoid going to her house. But now, out of nowhere, we're living together. The first day, my mother-in-law made a nasty comment. Emma, don't you know I was coming today? There's trash in the corner of the room. I'm sorry, I was working today, and didn't have time to clean. Excuses, excuses, couldn't you have cleaned after work? Well, then I wouldn't have time to make dinner. Stop making excuses. How do you even manage being Ethan's wife? Be more efficient. I'm sorry. After just 10 minutes, it was already uncomfortable, and I was worried about what was coming next. From then on, my mother-in-law's behavior got worse, and I was constantly stressed. One day, I came home from work, and my mother-in-law greeted me with a big smile. Welcome home. She doesn't usually greet me like that, so it felt strange. Then I saw something shiny around her neck. It looked like a necklace I owned. My heart sank. I rushed to my room to check my jewelry box. It was gone. I went straight to the living room to confront her. Mother-in-law, that necklace, it's mine, isn't it? Oh, you finally noticed. It looks good on me, doesn't it? I lost my patience with her. What are you talking about? Stop taking my things without asking. What's the big deal? It's not like it's going to get used up or anything. That's not the point. Stop complaining and make dinner. Ethan will be home soon. As I was making dinner, my mother-in-law kept interfering, which only made my stress worse. That night, I couldn't take it anymore and decided to talk to my husband. Hey, Ethan, can we talk? What's up? Today, I caught your mom wearing my necklace without asking. Oh, so? She went into my room, opened my jewelry box, and took it. You're exaggerating. How am I exaggerating? Calm down. I'm sure Mom didn't mean any harm. I was so angry that Ethan was taking his mom's side, but I tried to stay calm. Are you saying it's okay for someone to go into a room and take things without permission? A normal person would at least say sorry. Well, Mom just saw something nice and took it. That's not the point. Ethan, you need to talk to her about this. Me? Of course not. She disrespects me all the time. You, her son, need to talk to her. Fine, I'm counting on you. But despite my pleading, Ethan didn't do anything. The next day, I gave him a few dirty looks, but he never said anything to his mom. From then on, my mother-in-law kept taking my things without asking. She'd borrow them without permission, and no matter how much I complained, she didn't listen. Since there were no locks in the house, confronting her wouldn't help unless she changed her behavior. If it kept up, I'd lose everything. I had to figure out a way to stop her. Then one day, something happened that I couldn't forgive. What? It's gone. I had plans to meet a friend and wanted to wear my late mother's bracelet. It was precious to me, so I didn't keep it in the jewelry box. I hid it in my desk drawer, but when I went to get it, it was missing. The only person who could have taken it was my mother-in-law. When I confronted her, she casually admitted to taking it. Oh, that bracelet? I just borrowed it. Borrowed it? Then give it back now. I need it. I can't do that. What do you mean, you can't? I sold it. You sold it? Are you joking? Who sells someone else's things? It's no joke, by the way. Most of the things I borrowed from you, I've sold those too. What? What is wrong with you? While I argued with my mother-in-law, Ethan, who had just woken up, came into the room. Ethan, listen to this. I quickly explained everything. Your mom sold my bracelet, the one that belonged to my late mother, and she's been selling other things she's taken from me without permission. Ethan turned to his mom. Mom, is this true? She stuck out her tongue, mocking me. I'm on a fixed income. You know, I didn't want to be a burden, but I can't make ends meet without a little extra cash. Are you kidding me? What gives you the right to do this? Don't get so mad. I didn't mean any harm. If you meant no harm, you wouldn't be stealing and selling other people's things. Where did you sell it? Buy it back now. Just then, my husband yelled, enough is enough. He wasn't glaring at his mom, but at me. I was confused. Why are you yelling at me, Ethan? Your mom took my bracelet without asking. Be quiet. I did it for mom. Stop complaining. Are you kidding me? Why should I give up my cherished things for her? Because it makes mom happy. She's your mother-in-law. Show some respect and just do as you're told. I couldn't take it anymore. Not only was his mom stealing from me, but Ethan was always siding with her. Fueled by frustration, I shouted back. That's it. If you're not going to return it, then let's get a divorce. What? Don't joke about divorce. I'm not joking. I'm serious. Fine, whatever. I'll get the divorce papers today. Good, if that's how you want it. His mom had a smug look on her face. She'd never liked me, and I knew her real goal was to get me out of the house so she could have it all to herself. That night, my husband came home with the divorce papers already filled out. After signing them, I began packing. I decided I'd leave at the right moment. The next day, during my lunch break, I saw multiple missed calls from my sister, Sophia. Something had to have happened, so I called her back. Wait, Sophia, is that true? Yes, it's definitely true. It's not something you usually see around here, but I'll send you a photo. Make sure to check it. I got the photo, and it was clear, evidence that could ruin my mother-in-law. When I got home later that day, calmly preparing dinner, my husband Ethan stormed in, looking panicked. Emma, this is serious. What happened? My car, my prized car, is missing. Wow, that sounds serious. Why are you so indifferent? You know how much that car means to me. I know, it's the car you've dreamed of since you were single and finally managed to buy last year. Yes, exactly, so act more concerned. We're still paying off the car loan. Where could it have gone? Don't tell me you took it? Of course not. I have my own car, and I know you'd be mad if I took yours. So where is it then? I glanced at my mother-in-law, and she quickly looked away. That made me suspicious. Ethan, I think your mom knows something. What? Why would mom know? I turned to my mother-in-law, and her face went pale. What are you talking about, Emma? I got a call from Sophia today. She was out shopping and saw your mom driving your car. What? The car is foreign and blue, so it's easy to recognize. Sophia even recognized the license plate. Ethan's face turned red with anger. He confronted his mom. What's going on, Mom? Mother-in-law started stammering. No, Ethan, I just borrowed the car for a little bit. Borrowed it? Are you kidding me? I've told you so many times not to touch that car. I'm sorry, I just really wanted to drive it. What did you do with the car? Where is it? Well, I didn't leave it anywhere, but I did leave the keys in the ignition, so someone from the neighborhood must have stolen it. Stolen? Are you kidding me? I swear I drove the car all the way home. I'm not lying. I showed my mother-in-law the photo to put her in her place. Is this why you're lying, mother-in-law? Because you wrecked the car like this? What are you talking about, Emma? How did you get that picture? The photo was sent to me by my sister, Sophia. It clearly showed mother-in-law driving the car, and it was badly damaged. Sophia took the photo just in case and sent it to me. You took Ethan's car, and you damaged it so badly that you couldn't even drive it back, right? No, that's not true. Then where's the car? If someone from the neighborhood had stolen it, someone would have noticed, right? My husband was shaking with anger and yelled at his mom. Are you kidding me? You damaged my car, and now you're just going to act like it's nothing? Give it back now. Calm down, Ethan. How can I calm down? You're paying for the repairs, got it? That's impossible. I've already sold the car. You sold it? That's not possible. The car is in my name. I found a dealer who said they would buy it. They said I could even sell it on your behalf, so I sold it for $4,000. $4,000? The luxury car that Ethan bought was worth hundreds of thousands. Even now, mother-in-law had been tricked by a shady dealer who didn't know the car's real value, and she got ripped off. When my husband found out, he was furious and yelled at his mom like never before. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much that car meant to me? I'm sorry, Ethan, I'll give you the $4,000, please forgive me. $4,000 isn't even close to enough. My husband forcefully kicked his mom out of the house and locked the door. He turned to me, looking defeated. I never thought Mom could be so toxic. I'm sorry I didn't take your side before. It's about time you understood, I said. Don't worry, I'm over it now that she's gone. Let's live happily together again. But then I said something he didn't expect. Excuse me, no we won't. What do you mean? I want a divorce. His face turned pale, and he clung to me. Wait, I already kicked Mom out. Why do you want a divorce now? Don't you get it? I'm fed up with you too. My decision to divorce stands. He looked shocked. But why? I did what you wanted. I kicked her out. You've sided with your mom too many times. It's unfair to me. You're so self-centered. I despise you just as much as I despise your mother. My feelings will never change. He kept pleading. Emma, don't leave me. Please don't do this. I stood firm. This all happened because you decided to live with her. Reflect on that. I will never forgive you. I told my husband. What happened with the car? You got what you deserved. It serves you right. If you feel that way, fine, he said. I hope you suffer. You'll have to pay double the mortgage and the car loan. It's the punishment you deserve. Take it as far as you can, you son of a. With those final words, I grabbed my packed bags and walked out. I went straight to City Hall to file for a divorce. I deleted all his contact information and cut ties with him completely. Later, I demanded compensation from my mother-in-law for selling my things without permission. Reluctantly, she started working on paying back the money, likely to cover her debts for the rest of her life. As for my husband, he was left with the house and car loans, and his life changed drastically. He no longer took relaxing drives, spending his free time stuck at home, hopeless. Karma caught up with both of them. After everything, I moved into an apartment closer to my job. Now that I was single again, I had more financial freedom, and life felt so much more peaceful. On my day off, I thought about taking a drive to the beach. This is what freedom feels like. I plan to enjoy my new life to the fullest.
I had envisioned a life in this house, just my mother and me, until my husband Todd unexpectedly announced otherwise. The surprise left me in disbelief as he declared, "I'll handle all the monthly expenses, so I need you to leave," firmly raising her voice. I was taken aback and bewildered by their sudden decision. The motives behind their actions only became clearer when my mother-in-law completed the condominium contractor's name change. My name is Summer, and at 34 years old, I lead a busy life. My father, who ran a small-town workshop, bestowed this name upon me due to my birth during the summer season. While it may seem basic, it carries my late father's deep love. His polishing skills were renowned in the industry, and despite tough times, I cherished the moments playing in the workshop as a child. However, the workshop faced financial difficulties, leading to my father's tragic end in the back of the shop during my elementary school years. To shield me, my mother and I left town to start a discreet life elsewhere. Unfortunately, the years of hardship took a toll on my mother's health, and she passed away during my high school years. Despite the despair, I channeled the courage to face life head-on, driven by an inner passion to showcase my father's skills to future generations. Working tirelessly, I managed to graduate high school with scholarship support, juggling numerous part-time jobs to afford daily expenses while studying engineering at the local public university. During my university days, I encountered Todd, a friendly young man who recognized and admired my skills. Unlike many others, he never looked down on me for being a woman, fueling my determination. After graduating, we began living together, sharing our lives. Todd efficiently managed household chores, providing immense support, especially on busy workdays. 6 years later, at 28, I contemplated reviving my father's small-town workshop, with Todd wholeheartedly supporting my dream. As we discussed the possibility of marriage frequently over these 6 years, my lifelong dream seemed poised to become a reality. However, my primary focus was on rebuilding my father's workshop before considering marriage. Todd respected this wish and patiently waited. To raise funds, I opted for crowdfunding, leveraging my position as a female engineer. I incorporated the uniqueness of my story into the advertising campaign, aligning with the societal shift towards increased support for women. Carefully planning and persistently securing funding and the right personnel, after 4 years of effort, I successfully revived the town workshop. Mindful of the financial struggles the old workshop faced, I introduced state-of-the-art equipment and gave the factory a modern and sophisticated design. By establishing facilities and systems conducive to women, I aimed to create a workplace that was both productive and female-friendly. These efforts quickly elevated the workshop's status to top tier within the industry. While some might perceive my success as luck, it was, in fact, the result of numerous challenges and tireless efforts. Todd, my university partner, knew this best. However, Todd's career faced challenges, and while his colleagues progressed, he remained a rank-and-file employee. Growing frustrated, he started expressing his dissatisfaction, saying coldly, "You're really lucky to have succeeded. There must be someone better for you than me, right?" I repeatedly reassured him that my success wouldn't have been possible without his unwavering support. I genuinely believed his involvement in my life and career was indispensable. To express my deep gratitude and love, I proposed marriage. I valued his special presence, pure and warm-hearted sensitivity, bringing happiness to my everyday life. Despite finding great comfort and solace in his presence, I began noticing changes in his heart over the 10 years since we became adults. My hope was to dispel his insecurities through marriage. Upon deciding to marry, we rushed to inform our families. Contrary to my expectations, Todd's family home was an old, decaying wooden house that raised concerns about its stability. When Todd's mother first saw me, she remarked, "You're the daughter of the wealthy business owner they often talk about," reflecting my past fundraising and media exposure. In the pursuit of success, I had emphasized the importance of first impressions, but the reality of Todd's family background differed from my expectations. I dedicated considerable time and effort to my attire and appearance, aiming for a suitable impression. However, from my mother-in-law's perspective, my outfit might have appeared flashy and excessive. She started speaking in a sarcastic tone, implying that I owed my appearance to Todd's assistance. Despite feeling grateful, I sensed tension as I entered their quite old house. Todd seemed to have something on his mind, but remained silent. His father, in tattered clothes and with a restless demeanor, reflected the atmosphere of the home. Apologizing for the state of their house, he acknowledged its issues and conveyed that it might differ from the appearance of a wealthy household. Trying to calm myself, I internally took several deep breaths. Each time I made a casual remark, Todd's parents responded with comments about how rich people have different ways of thinking and values than common people like us, making genuine conversation difficult. Back at home, I asked Todd about his parents' views on wealth, and he shared surprising facts. Since childhood, he was taught that fancy apartment buildings were probably built on wrongdoing, and wealthy people engaged in shady dealings. They were believed to lack understanding of others' feelings or hardships, and Todd was advised to avoid befriending children from wealthy families. Although I hadn't grown up in a wealthy family myself, I found it intriguing to understand the roots of his parents' strong feelings. Even afterward, Todd's parents disapproved of our relationship. His mother often expressed concern about me making him do too much, while his father advised him not to let married life be completely dominated by his wife. These sentiments seemed to contribute to Todd's declining self-esteem. Behind my successful career was a desire to fulfill my late father's dream, not a wish to look down on others or use them. Despite Todd previously discussing this with his parents, my social success left a lasting impression on them. Attempting to improve our relationship, I communicated and tried to understand them multiple times. However, no matter how much goodwill I showed, Todd's father approached me with bias, saying, "This is how rich people think." Their reactions gradually closed off my heart. Meanwhile, as Todd visited his family more frequently due to his father's deteriorating health, we started distancing ourselves, even though we were married and living together. About 2 years later, he suddenly announced that he had decided to quit his job because he was too busy with things at home. I was infuriated that Todd made such a significant decision without discussing it with me first. At that point, our relationship had deteriorated into a mere formality, lacking meaningful and sincere communication. He claimed to be busy with housework, but in reality, he frequently visited casinos and racetracks. When I confronted him about his actions, Todd dismissively suggested hiring a professional housekeeper, stating that he wasn't my servant, and we had enough money to cover the expense. His words left me deeply shocked and at a loss for a response. Around that time, Todd's father's health worsened, and he passed away. 2 months after receiving this news, my mother-in-law and Todd visited my house, and he unexpectedly declared, "I plan to live in this house with my mother, just the two of us." Taken aback by this sudden statement, I stood there speechless. Todd went on to say, "I will pay the monthly rent, so I want you to leave." Shocked by this demand, I could only ask, "Wait a minute, are you really able to pay the rent, Todd?" Instead of a reasonable response, my mother-in-law yelled at me, expressing her anger and stating that she couldn't forgive me for belittling them. Todd, dissatisfied, sighed deeply, proclaiming that he wouldn't tolerate being bossed around anymore and intended to live life on his terms. Surprised by their intense attitude, I momentarily lost my words. Reflecting on their past actions and words, I realized that dealing with them would be extremely challenging. I responded firmly, "I understand. I will leave this house next month." Unsatisfied, my mother-in-law pushed for an even quicker departure, demanding, "Can't you just get the hell out of here and leave next week?" I'm being ready for my new life, and I've already arranged for my stuff to be delivered to my new house. Her abrupt demands puzzled me, considering I had just decided to leave. Unable to comprehend her reasoning or course of action, I hesitated. In response, my mother-in-law raised her voice even more, asserting, "Someone as wealthy as you should leave them moving to professionals, right?" She repeated a sarcastic phrase, implying that she viewed the wealthy as something special or different. Initially, I considered it proper for them to move to a new place since I was the one who contracted for the house. However, my mother-in-law continued to assert strongly, "This house belongs to Todd. No matter how much you earn, I won't allow you to hide that fact." Behind her words, I sensed a message that my higher income shouldn't make me feel superior to Todd. Looking at Todd's changed and gloomy expression, I questioned why I had invested so much time in such a person. In this unbearable situation, where living with them seemed insufferable, and I wanted to avoid sharing the same space, breathing the same air, I concluded that it was time to seriously consider divorce. Understood. This weekend, I'll proceed with the moving arrangements, handling all necessary document changes and procedures. When I responded in a soft tone, Todd and his mother exchanged glances, smirking triumphantly, as if a long battle had ended, and they had finally won. Immediately, I began searching for vacancies in apartments and condos, also looking for a reliable moving company amidst my busy days, including work-related business trips. Returning home, I found Todd deep in sleep, seemingly ignoring my existence. On the weekend, he calmly signed the divorce papers without displaying any emotion. Meanwhile, his mother was receiving explanations from the real estate agent about the rental agreement and signing the contract. I was particularly concerned about whether she truly understood the high rent of $66,000. After completing all the procedures, I found myself walking alone toward a new place with a high-rise condo behind me. The new apartment, a one-bedroom with secure surroundings, was perfect for me living alone. During the move, I decided to discard many unnecessary things, clearing both my room and my mind for a fresh start. Decorating the space to my liking was an enjoyable time for me, gradually immersing myself in the new lifestyle. Thoughts of Todd and his family started to fade, although I couldn't completely erase them from my mind. Reflecting on the memories with Todd and the challenging times we had overcome together, I never imagined our relationship would end this way, especially during our university days when we struggled financially. We supported each other's livelihood. The strain that developed over time was deep and immeasurable. However, I later came across shocking information when I coincidentally reunited with a university friend. She told me rumors of Todd flaunting around in city clubs. Also, a former neighbor from where I used to live mentioned seeing my ex-mother-in-law frequently entering and exiting a luxury foreign car. They described them wearing unfamiliar luxurious fur clothes and speaking completely differently than before. Hearing about their lavish lifestyle, I couldn't believe they'd once looked down on the wealthy. Particularly after I had distanced myself from that life, I saw how much they had transformed. Then, unexpectedly, 2 months later, I received a call from Todd. "I really need your help." His voice conveyed a level of desperation I had never heard before. I had not expected to hear from him in such a manner after our one-sided relationship ended. Actually, we've gotten ourselves into some unexpected trouble. What exactly happened? Todd's response indicated that the events had begun 3 months prior. He was shocked to learn the astonishing truth through a call from his mother. "I hit the jackpot in the lottery. Can you believe $30 million? She had apparently been buying lottery tickets in the past, and this time she had won an amount beyond her wildest dreams. "Is that really true, or is it a joke?" Todd asked her to confirm. After checking the lottery numbers multiple times herself, the ex-mother-in-law assured, "There's no mistake. I've checked it over and over. We are so unbelievably rich now. Now we can face those upper-class people with no problem. Truly, God has blessed us." She spoke with elation, lifting her spirits. Moved by these words, Todd was in tears, and his mother added, "With this amazing stroke of luck, you can escape from that woman's clutches. Have you heard? She seems to be frolicking around with some young guy now. Such a woman should be kept at a distance." These words pushed Todd further, and his pent-up anger and frustration boiled over. "Now that we've acquired wealth, I won't be controlled by her. We won't have anything to do with her anymore," he declared with a trembling voice, informing me of our disconnection. It became evident that during these events, a common goal had emerged between them to completely exclude me. Subsequently, they began a lavish lifestyle in a downtown luxury condo, seemingly spending extravagantly every day. Todd used his savings liberally, and the ex-mother-in-law spent her late husband's inheritance without any reservations. Excited, they decided to go to the nearest bank to cash in the lottery ticket. However, at the bank, they faced a shocking truth. The lottery ticket they brought was from the previous year. Disbelief and dismay spread across their faces. It turned out the ex-mother-in-law had been comparing last year's lottery ticket with this year's winning numbers. Amidst this commotion, there was a deep-seated fear that somehow I would take their wealth from them. Surprised upon hearing their story, I was at a loss for words. "That's truly unfortunate and sad." I conveyed my sympathy. Just as I was about to end the call, Todd spoke up again, asking, "But we should have a right to alimony, right?" Continuing to claim without any basis, he added, "You were cheating, right? On that fact alone, we should be able to claim alimony." Explaining his situation, Todd felt stressed about the house and believed he had the right to demand alimony. However, it was clear in my memory that Todd had quit his job on his own accord. My emotions surged, and I couldn't tolerate such baseless claims. "I can't believe you would say such a thing," You sleazy man. Are you for real? I raised my voice involuntarily. In this moment, my usual calm judgment and strong resilience frayed. Perhaps sensing my anger, I could feel Todd's surprise and confusion over the phone. Truly, it's me who should be seeking alimony. You only think about yourself, heartlessly kicking me out always. That want to be rich spiel, I heard it so many times. Why do you and your mother complain so much? I can't tolerate this attitude of just being jealous without making any effort. I continued with an emotional outburst. After my emotional outburst, there was a moment of silence. Then, I felt a sense of clarity and hung up the phone. Their mistake with the lottery ticket astounded me, but now it was none of my business. Whatever fate they met was irrelevant to me. Days later, as I walked in front of my factory, I saw my ex-mother-in-law in a visibly deplorable state. She appeared before me and began to prostrate. Please help me. We can't afford to return the $66,000. Please come back and be a part of our family again. That should have been clearly written in the documents. Why didn't you check them thoroughly? Didn't you understand how serious it all was? And about that lottery ticket, I murmured slowly, choosing my words carefully. Will you truly abandon a mother and child struck by such misfortune? After a pause, I shook my head calmly and said, I believe that luck, in many cases, is something you forge for yourself despite hardships. I have strived to carve out my own destiny. How much of that mindset did you have? My words left her with a surprised and somewhat regretful expression. Struggling to find a response, I walked past her and started walking in the direction of the building. After a short walk, I turned around to find my former mother-in-law still standing there. But I never looked back again and kept walking, focused on the path ahead. As expected, Todd and his mother were eventually evicted from the luxury condo. They chose an old wooden shack as their new dwelling, having spent all their savings. Now, they spend their days working various part-time jobs to support themselves and save for the future. Over the following years, I dedicated myself to my work, and my factory grew far beyond its original small-town scale. I secured funds to purchase a larger plot of land nearby and established a new state-of-the-art factory there. This newly built facility was designed with the comfort of the entire family in mind, complete with maternity leave and childcare facilities for employees. Although my parents were not able to witness this success in person, every time I see a smiling couple with their children visiting the factory, I remember myself as a child and feel a deep sense of relief and happiness at the sight of them. My father has been expanding and generating profits within the company founded by my grandfather. Recently, he promised to transfer a luxurious villa, a mansion, to me. However, I've come to the realization that what's rightfully yours should also be mine as your husband. This mansion is now mine, and I plan to hire you as a housemaid. If you're not on board with that, well, you can always consider divorce. As it turns out, despite the mansion supposedly being in my name, my husband had clandestinely inscribed his own name on the legal papers. Does he genuinely believe that's acceptable? Does he comprehend the potential consequences of such actions? My name is Aaron, and while I don't intend to boast, I was born into a wealthy family. My father, the CEO of several companies, inherited the business from my grandfather, who initially started a small shop repairing and selling TVs and music systems. Over time, the company flourished, expanding into various branches and diversifying into the IT sector. My father's foresight, selling computers and accessories before they gained widespread popularity, proved to be a lucrative move. Besides IT, he ventured into real estate, collaborating with local businesses and actively contributing to community development. My mother served as the vice president of the company, and after studying it in college, I joined the family business. Despite the outward appearance of affluence, we didn't live as extravagantly as portrayed in TV dramas. My father believed in instilling good values, rejecting the notion that spoiling a child aids in their responsible growth. Our family home was spacious, and we had a maid, but as a child, I actively participated in household chores. Dining at fancy restaurants occurred infrequently, and our international travels were limited to once a year, with the majority being local trips. My school life seemed quite ordinary, and it would have been challenging for anyone to guess that my family was affluent. Due to my unassuming demeanor, I dated guys within my age group, just like any other girl. Among them, Michael, who later became my husband, was one of my colleagues at the same workplace. During those times, I worked as a sales representative and office manager at an aid-related shop, and Michael was also a sales rep there. I chose not to disclose that my father was the CEO to my coworkers, making it easier for Michael to approach me. I noticed that he was straightforward and had no reservations. Although I didn't seek extravagance, I'd always suggested places within Michael's budget. During our dates at restaurants, he would order generously, explaining that if there's extra, he'd eat it, opting for a cost-effective approach to enjoy a hearty meal. Some might have considered him a bit frugal, but I found it endearing. Unbeknownst to him, I earned several times more than he did, content with my fair compensation for the responsibilities I held. I unconsciously became accommodating. Michael, always keen on budget-friendly ways to satisfy his appetite, received my gestures with gratitude. During our dates, I'd often bought extra food or thoughtful gifts, knowing he would appreciate them. When shopping for clothes, I would add extra socks for him, and on occasions when I got a new bedspread, I'd include pajamas and a pillow for him. I genuinely enjoyed making him happy. Even when visiting his home, I willingly cooked for him and took care of the cleanup. Out of the blue, Michael proposed to me one day, expressing that there was no one better than me. At that moment, I hesitated, harboring reservations. After all, my father was the CEO of a major company, and he held a prominent position at my current workplace. I feared that if Michael were to discover this, he might reconsider our relationship. Deciding to take Michael to my parents' home for the first time, I aimed to introduce him to my family and disclose everything about our background. If he accepted it all, I would be more than willing to marry him. As Michael's inaugural visit to my family home approached, he appeared visibly nervous. However, my dad, though strict on occasion, generally exuded a calm demeanor. When I presented Michael as the man I was contemplating marrying, my father welcomed him with a warm smile, alleviating some of Michael's tension. Although surprised to learn about my father's CEO status, Michael managed to navigate the visit smoothly with my father's supportive demeanor. Upon leaving the house, Michael exclaimed about the enormity and magnificence of the residence, expressing gratitude for my father's kindness. He even suggested that we could get along well. When I casually mentioned my dad's ownership of additional buildings and a vacation home, Michael appeared more astonished. Despite the revelation, he resolved to marry me, the daughter of such a prominent man, and I agreed wholeheartedly. Eventually, we became a married couple. However, something bothered me. At the moment of accepting his proposal, I noticed a slightly mischievous grin on Michael's face for a split second. Dismissing it as his quirky way of smiling, I didn't dwell on it, but perhaps had I paid more attention, I could have averted the impending tragedy. As Michael and I moved into a typical, not overly luxurious apartment, he seemed to grasp the significance of my father's status. Yet I never explicitly disclosed my income, maintaining a modest lifestyle. Gradually, Michael's demeanor changed after settling in. While I balanced work and household responsibilities, he started demanding more. One evening, as I prepared dinner, he asked, "What's for dinner tonight?" In response, I informed him that I had prepared his favorite curry rice. However, to my surprise, he appeared dissatisfied as he sat on the sofa. Letting out a sigh, he expressed his desire for something like a prime beef steak once in a while. This caught me off guard, as he had never complained about my cooking before. I pointed out that prime beef was quite expensive. but he clicked his tongue in annoyance, insisting that, considering my father's earnings, indulging in prime beef occasionally should not be a big deal. Reluctantly, I agreed to get prime beef for the next day. Michael smirked, stating that we should be able to enjoy such things normally from now on. While my salary could afford such luxuries, my previous lifestyle had instilled a reluctance to spend so extravagantly. However, to avoid issues early in our marriage, I resigned myself to the decision to actually cook prime beef steak. Unfortunately, Michael's lavish tendencies did not stop there. He frequently requested expensive ingredients for meals and specified upscale restaurants when we went out. His cravings extended beyond food, manifesting in desires for a TV larger than 60 inches and even suggesting we should purchase a massage chair for the sake of relaxation after work. These remarks became more frequent, and I began to feel that it was getting out of hand. I questioned the need for such extravagant items, expressing my concern about the expenses involved. Frustrated, I finally retorted, asking him if he thought we were made of money. I challenged his extravagant lifestyle, stating that living so lavishly was unnecessary. In response, Michael made a displeased face and clicked his tongue again, expressing his discontent. He argued that, as the husband, he contributed to the household expenses and insisted that I should listen to him. However, his statements puzzled me, as his contributions, while appreciated, did not amount to a lavish sum. In fact, I contributed more, a fact I never disclosed to him. Despite my substantial financial input, he made these assertions without hesitation. This change in Michael's behavior left me questioning his mindset. He was not like this before, and I couldn't comprehend why he had changed at that moment. I found myself in a state of confusion, unable to comprehend Michael's recent behavior. In response to his audacious requests, I decided to temporarily appease the situation by telling him, "All right, I'll think about it." Little did I know that the explanation for his bold behavior would become apparent just a few days later. On that particular day, my father summoned me to the office of our shop where I worked, claiming that he had something important to discuss. While Michael was engrossed in his work, my father entered the office and initiated a serious conversation. He expressed uncertainty about how much longer he could continue as the CEO and hinted at the possibility of me taking over in the future. Furthermore, he mentioned transferring the vacation home to me. This vacation home, briefly mentioned to Michael earlier, resembled a large lodge located about a 30-minute drive away. It was a place where my father used to host gatherings with town shop owners, under the guise of meetings. Although such meetings were no longer held, the house was consistently ready to be lived in, maintained by a housekeeper. My father offered me the freedom to use the vacation home however I wanted. This proposition left me torn, as I had no concrete idea of how to utilize such a property. The vacation home boasted over 6,000 square feet, with a lavish garden surrounded by nature, akin to a mansion. Lacking the social connections to host significant parties, I contemplated keeping it as an asset. I conveyed to my father that I would positively consider his proposal but needed more time to make a decision. He assured me there was no rush and left a contract on the desk before departing the shop. Returning home after work, I leaned towards accepting the mansion, intending to give it further thought the next day. However, the following day brought an unexpected turn of events. Upon arriving at work, I discovered that Michael, who typically arrived before me, was absent from the shop. Intrigued, I entered the office only to find him there. Instinctively, I asked, "What are you doing here?" To my surprise, he flashed a document in my face, stating, "I overheard the conversation about the mansion yesterday. Sounds like an amazing deal, right?" Dumbfounded by Michael's audacious move, I reluctantly signed the document he flaunted, a contract my father had handed me just the day before. Shockingly, Michael had inscribed his own name on it. I was utterly taken aback and couldn't help but express my disbelief. "What on earth are you doing?" I questioned him, but Michael, without a hint of remorse, casually responded, "Why not? Your dad said he's giving away an amazing mansion, right? If you won't decide, I figured I'd take it. He said this with a smirk, but there was no way I could accept it. Persistently, I pleaded with him, emphasizing the house's worth of $4 million and my father's intention to give it to me. However, Michael dismissed my concerns with a nonchalant laugh. $4 million bucks? Dan, that's impressive. Think about it. I have the right to this mansion because you're my wife, and I'm your husband, so I have a right to what's yours. Moreover, your dad really likes me. He probably won't have any complaints. So from today, this villa is my house. If you live in a wealthy house, you've got to make use of it. How about I hire you as a maid in this mansion? If you have any complaints, I'll divorce you anytime, he confidently declared. It was at that moment when I recalled Michael's past actions and words, and everything finally clicked. He seemingly had no qualms about taking from others, even if it meant practically stealing, without feeling guilty. During our dating days, I'd always showered him with gifts, but he never reciprocated. My giving nature might have corrupted him, leading him to believe that what was mine was automatically his. My dad's kindness to Michael likely made him feel my father was easy to manipulate, and perhaps he perceived me as even more gullible. With a plan forming in my mind, I decided to confront him. I declared, "Fine then. This mansion is yours, but I'm not going to be your maid. Let's get a divorce. Take care." After that, I returned to my job and, during my lunch break, called a divorce lawyer to initiate the process. Michael, seemingly unfazed, responded with bravado, claiming he was fine with it and canceling the lease on his current place. Little did he know that tragedy was about to hit him, and he just hadn't realized it yet. Later, I went back to my parents' place and shared everything with my father. From that point on, everything unfolded according to my plan. A few weeks later, Michael called me in a state of panic, having received an enormous bill. While his shock was understandable, it was only fair, considering the fixed property tax on the $4 million house he had claimed as his own. I casually informed Michael that he should expect to pay around that much for the property tax. However, he appeared utterly clueless, lacking knowledge that paying tax on owned property is common. Normally, my father would have covered the tax if he had received the property, but upon hearing the entire story, my usually calm father was furious. Despite my warnings about my father's strict nature, he declared he can have it if he can afford it, and accepted the property transfer to Michael. To be honest, a part of me wanted Michael to learn a tough lesson, and there was no way he could afford the hefty amount. Frustrated with Michael's persistent pleas, I decided to deliver a final blow. The annual property tax, I revealed, amounted to about $60,000. It dawned on me that Michael always had a mindset of trying to take advantage of his friends, possibly driving them away and leaving him without anyone to teach him common sense. Acknowledging that I may have been a bit unreasonable, I admitted that my once cute perception of Michael had drastically changed. Without any sympathy left, I hung up the phone. Subsequently, Michael couldn't sustain living in the house and faced forced eviction. Realizing he couldn't afford it, my father reverted the property deed back to my name, incurring the gift tax himself. Meanwhile, Michael faced severe consequences. He was fired from his job and charged with unlawfully changing the property deed. He received scoldings from his parents and was shunned by acquaintances. Now jobless and friendless, he barely scraped by in a rundown apartment, working odd jobs. His parents were even considering disowning him. As for me, I've been gradually preparing to take over my father's company. My father once told me that success in business doesn't come from looking for shortcuts. Reflecting on the fact that I almost married Michael, I deeply understand the truth in his words. Inspired by my father's greatness, I push forward every day in my involvement in running the business. Sophia will recount how I took control of my life and put a stop to my husband Xander's destructive influence. For privacy reasons, I'll be using pseudonyms. As a prominent lawyer in my state, anonymity is crucial for various reasons. Let's not delve into the intricacies of my and Xander's love story. We fell in love, got married, and eventually divorced. The love, it seemed, wasn't reciprocal, as Xander cheated on me. The signs were apparent: avoidance, excessive time outside, and frequent business trips, though I wasn't involved in his sizable business. Despite my success as a lawyer, Xander considered me a failure due to earning less than him. One day, during another one of his supposed business trips, I decided to investigate. I discovered a secret Facebook account on his old laptop, confirming my suspicions. He was cheating with a beautiful woman, someone he found more attractive than me, often criticizing my appearance. Heartbroken and angered, I confronted him immediately. "Sandra, are you cheating on me?" "I have proof," I declared. Xander callously responded, "Sophia, you're just not that interesting anymore. You're always engrossed in pointless cases, neglecting me. Besides, you're not a supermodel who can captivate me with looks alone." Confused, I retorted, "What are you talking about, Xander? I have a demanding job, and you knew that when we got married. I haven't neglected you. It's you who stopped coming home and refused to communicate." And that's how I discovered Xander's affair when I finally decided to confront him. I anticipated a degree of remorse from him, but the cold response I received caught me off guard. He shifted all the blame onto me, justifying his cheating, a claim that held no validity. Refusing to be falsely accused, I pointed out the flaws in his accusations. Instead of defending his position, he turned cold once more and nonchalantly revealed that he was relieved I had discovered his affair. In a chilling tone, Xander declared, "Good that you found out, Sophia. I no longer have to hide my beautiful girlfriend. She and I will have a perfect life together after I divorce your useless self. Finally, I will marry someone who's worthy of me and my name." His words hit me like a ton of bricks, sending a cold shiver down my spine. As he spoke of divorce, he not only insulted me but also asserted that I was not good enough for him. Accusing me of being a bad wife, he showed no remorse for his affair and even boasted about how a mistress would make a better spouse. Tears streamed down my face as he demeaned me, proclaiming his affair with pride. This was the man I had loved for over a decade, and his words left me shattered. Through my tears, I asked, "How could you say that, Xander? All these years, I've been beside you through thick and thin, honoring my vows and valuing you above all else." His callous response cut deep, dismissing my worth. "Well, Sophia, it doesn't matter anymore. You're just not right for me. I'm now a proud business owner, and a woman with average looks and a pretentious law degree won't do me any good." Feeling utterly demeaned, I protested. "How could you, Xander? I'm a capable woman, even if I don't fit your narrow definition of beauty. I've been a good wife to you, and now you're contemplating divorce." Correcting me, he stated coldly, "I'm not contemplating divorce, Sophia. I've already decided to divorce you. I'm done. I don't want to be with you anymore. I will file soon and have already hired a great lawyer. You better move out before I come home. I don't want to see your ugly face anymore." A few hours after Xander hung up on me, he sent the divorce papers through a friend who looked at me sympathetically. I numbly accepted the papers, shut the door, and cried miserably, letting the reality of my wasted years with a horrible man sink in. However, I decided I wouldn't let this break me. I was a strong woman who would take control of her life and teach Xander a lesson. When Xander's friend delivered the papers, he mentioned that Xander had talked about drawing out the divorce. Initially puzzled, it dawned on me that we had a prenup. Xander had insisted that I was entitled to half of his business if he cheated, something I had overlooked in my emotional turmoil. It made sense why Xander wanted to prolong the divorce. He hoped I would give up my rightful share. Determined not to let go of what was rightfully mine, I immediately called his lawyer and set up an appointment. Within 2 days, I moved out of Xander's house and into my childhood home, which was in my name. I texted Xander that I had already moved my belongings, asserting, "I took my ugly face and body out of your Dan house. Good that you've come to your senses and not making a fuss." Xander responded, boasting about his lawyer's reputation. But I calmly warned him, "I won't give you my business, that's for sure. For now, you will stay away from me." Determined to uphold the prenup, I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. "I don't want to talk to you. You can only speak to me through my lawyers now, and I expect you to empty my house." Xander's words ignited a surge of boiling rage within me. It's astonishing how anger and hatred can fuel one's determination when faced with such utter contempt. My mind cleared, and I couldn't help but almost laugh at Xander's ignorance. He had no clue who he was up against. Doubtful that his lawyer, Jake, knew either, I arranged a meeting with him at a cafe. Upon seeing me, Jake began to visibly tremble, only calming down upon recognizing me. He seemed confident, but not enough. Jake was a decent lawyer, but he hadn't anticipated facing off against someone like me. Xander never considered me influential, so Jake was utterly unprepared for our encounter. Jake appeared nervous and his hands shook, but I refrained from further intimidation. He wasn't to blame for my predicament. "Hello, Jake. Nice to see you here," I greeted, noticing his surprise. "If you have any doubts, let me clear them for you. Yes, I am the wife." "Ma'am, I'm so sorry. I wasn't expecting you to show up," Jake stammered, flustered by my presence. "The surnames don't match because I got married after I received my law degree. I used my maiden name for official purposes," I explained. "Ah, I see," Jake muttered, visibly uncomfortable. "So I'm guessing you want to drag out this case. That's what my client has told me." "Your client has been misleading you, Jake. He's the one who wants to prolong this case. Isn't that what he told you?" I confronted him directly, knowing my reputation as a lawyer spoke volumes. Jake squirmed under my scrutiny. Accustomed to asking the right questions, I didn't mince words. "You don't have to answer that, Jake. I've known Xander for over a decade. I married that idiot for God's sake. I know what goes through his thick head." Concerned for Jake's predicament, I decided to enlighten him. "Since I know you, and it's not fair on you, I'll tell you the truth about this divorce." "What do you mean, ma'am?" Jake inquired, clearly taken aback. "Did my dear husband mention to you that he cheated on me?" I asked pointedly, watching Jake's expression for confirmation. His reaction spoke volumes, confirming my suspicions. Once again, Jake was caught off guard by my revelation. I won't lie to you guys. It did sting and hurt my ego to admit to my colleague that I had been cheated on. It's not a pleasant experience. However, I knew better than to betray my emotions. No matter how humiliated I felt, I still had the upper hand, and I was well aware of that. Jay, on the other hand, didn't know. He said, No, I don't think my client has told me about that. But he did warn me that, in his words, you would make some baseless accusations because you want to ruin him." "Oh, you poor thing, Jake. Your client has played you like a fiddle. Although it might make you happy to know that Xander thinks you are one of the best lawyers out there. Well, that's a big compliment, but I will never measure up to you, ma'am," Jake confessed. "I wish he had told me that his wife also practices law. He only told me that you work at a law firm. My husband never really took my accomplishments seriously. He had a habit of undermining my work and influence. It was foolish of me to stay with him this long. However, it was smart of me to sign the prenup to save my butt," I shared. Jake was completely taken aback by the mention of the word prenup. He looked shocked, and the term seemed foreign to him. I didn't need to be a rocket scientist to know that he had been ambushed again. Xander had conveniently forgotten to mention the prenup to Jake, perhaps hoping I had forgotten about it. Well, who knows? It didn't matter. Since the word of the prenup was out there, Jake was frazzled. "There's a prenup in this marriage? Your husband hadn't mentioned that. Do you have any proof, ma'am?" Jake inquired. "Oh, I do have plenty of proof, Jake. I brought the papers along. I had a feeling that Xander would try to get out of dealing with the consequences of his actions. Well, not on my watch. I would really like to see the papers, ma'am. Also, I think I would need to see proof of his affair if you have any. Don't worry, Jake. I brought along everything. Like I said, it isn't me who wants to drag out this divorce. The sooner it happens, the better it is for me. I handed over all the evidence to Jake, from messages to pictures and documents. I had all the proof right in my handbag, casually giving them to Jake, knowing that the case would always go in my favor. Jake studied each and every document thoroughly before signing and looking rather defeated. He then looked at me and said, "I see that you have solid proof of everything, ma'am. I had no idea about all of these things. I figured that out, Jake. Also, I know how difficult it is to work with unreliable clients, especially when the opposite party has an equally strong lawyer for their case." "You're right about that, ma'am. I think that's all I needed to talk about today. I believe I need to have a serious conversation with my client before I decide to proceed with his case. I'm sure someone will contact you soon, although I can't say that it will be me." I could tell what Jake was hinting at but didn't comment on it. I thanked him for his time and proceeded to walk out of the cafe. I went straight to work and started to prepare my own documents for the divorce. All the lingering sadness was gone. Now, there was this rage within me that was driving me to make sure Xander suffered for what he had done, and I knew he had no way out of this mess he had created. It took Xander one day to get back to me. He called me on my number despite telling me not to contact him directly. It was funny but not surprising. I knew he would find himself in this situation. When I answered his call, he sounded very pissed off. "What the hell did you say to my lawyer, Sophia?" My, look who's calling after telling me to stay away. "Now what happened with your lawyer, Xander? Stop playing around, Sophia. Tell me what you told him that made him quit today. Your lawyer quit today? How sad, Xander. I guess you should have been upfront about your situation and who they would be fighting against. You don't know what you're saying? You are a freaking nobody. I won't let you take away my family business." "Oh, I would like to see you try, Xander. I will hire a better lawyer and doubt you. Just wait and watch. I will destroy you in court. You will come to me begging for mercy." "Well, sounds like a plan, Xander. Good luck with that. But a word of advice from a lawyer. Remember to tell your new lawyer about your affair and the prenup." When I said that, Xander simply hung up on me. It made me chuckle. He was in deep trouble but still didn't know it. He would try every lawyer in town and see if anyone would represent him. I am a known name here, so people knew not to mess with me. Plus, anyone stupid enough to believe his lies would be dragged down to reality when I presented them with my ammo. Xander said that he would make me beg for mercy. I knew that it would be a matter of time before he would come begging at my door. I was right in thinking that Xander would be back, begging at my door. He literally had no other choice. One fine morning, while I was getting ready for work, there was a knock at my door. I was a little confused about who showed up at such an odd time. Imagine my surprise when I opened the door and found my soon-to-be ex-husband, looking forlorn and weary. I invited him in because I didn't want the scene outside my home. I was already dealing with enough. When he came inside, I said, "Make it quick, Xander. I don't have enough time to waste on you. I don't even know why you're here. We were supposed to strictly communicate through lawyers only." "Yeah, about that. I haven't found a good divorce lawyer yet." "Oh, that's sad for you, Xander. You better hurry up because I hear that your mistress has been dying to marry you. I'm not worried about her anymore. Listen, Sophia, we need to talk. You have been sabotaging my lawyer so that they wouldn't take my case. That is very unfair." I immediately laughed when he said that. I couldn't believe that Xander would have the audacity to pin the entire blame on me. This once again showed how little he valued my profession. He thought that just because he was willing to throw money, people would pull at his feet. Oh dear, that's an amazing joke, Xander. Let me just clear that misconception for you. I haven't been sabotaging anything. It's your stupidity that's causing trouble. I don't understand. What did I even do? Should I remind you how you lied to your lawyers about the affair and the prenup? That is enough to make them look like fools in court. Do you think lawyers would jump at representing unreliable clients like you? Besides, I will admit that my name will make a lot of people walk away. You may consider me to be useless, but I actually do have a good name in this profession. Yes, I know that now, Sophia. I've tried being open with lawyers too, but none of them are willing to help me. That's what happens when you try to go against an ironclad prenup. You really should have thought your affair through, Xander. Not that it matters now. The damage is done. No sane lawyer would fight for your cause. You'll be giving me half of your business. Xander's facial expression said it all. He didn't want to lose his business. I mean, that's why he tried to pick a good lawyer and drag out the divorce. He wanted to keep me hanging long enough until I would snap and just leave him alone without demanding half of his company. After a few days, it became clear to him that no one would take his side. Hell, he was even finding it hard to find any lawyer who would go against me. So, he did what he thought was his last resort. He started to cry and beg. Sophia, you know how much this business means to me. Please don't do this. You can take everything else, but please don't ask to split the business. Why not, Xander? You were the one who put in the clause of splitting the business in case you cheated. You think I will give up my rights that easily? I deserve it after the betrayal you threw in my face. It was all a mistake, Sophia. Believe me. I have actually put my relationship on hold because I know what a big mistake it was. Maybe, just maybe, we can give this marriage a try. I can say for sure that this hurdle will only make us stronger. Xander's words made me laugh out loud again. The audacity of this man was unmatched by anyone I knew. I really didn't know what to say. He was actually asking to get back together, as if I would be stupid enough to do that. I didn't know that he had put a pause on his relationship with his mistress. The rumors were out that the mistress was not happy, and neither was Xander. But if he thinks this will make me go back to him, he is dead wrong. I already made the mistake of marrying a piece of and learned my lesson the hard way. Plus, I knew why he was suddenly desperate to get me back. You must be delusional for suggesting something like that, Xander. I didn't come this far in life by being utterly stupid. I know that you want to get back to me because you don't want to split your business. Sophia, we were happy together. Let's just look past this one time and restart our marriage. I will cut off my mistress. I swear there's no reason to do that, Xander. Believe me, that woman is going to start running once she finds out that you won't be very rich after the divorce. As for me, this is my golden chance to get out of this sham of a marriage. I must thank you for showing your true colors before we had kids. Now you will reap what you have sown. With that, I was pretty much done with my piece. I immediately stopped talking while Xander kept begging and pleading with me not to take his business. It was a rather pathetic scene, but it didn't move me at all. Instead, it made me think of the times I went to bed crying because this piece of expletive I call my husband decided to betray me. Seeing Xander in a vulnerable place only gave me satisfaction and completed my revenge. Now, I simply needed a clean break to start fresh. Well, I definitely got more than what I had bargained for. Karma hit Xander hard and fast. He tried for weeks to change my mind and make me come back home. I turned a blind eye to everything simply because I wasn't interested in his drama. I was ready to move on. Since he had filed for divorce already, I hired someone from my firm to represent me. I'm not a divorce lawyer, so I couldn't do it myself. Besides, I wanted as minimum interaction with him as possible. After a month of trying to change my mind, he was forced to get a lawyer and ask for a clean break. He knew that if I took the case to court, he would only face humiliation and ultimately waste money on lawyers appointed by the court. So he receded and asked for a mutual split. The prenup made it super easy for me to get the divorce. Of course, I had plenty of proof to show everyone that Xander cheated. As per the prenup, he was supposed to give up half of his business to me. He wasn't happy. But there was no way out, so he signed over half of it to me. We did give him an offer to buy me out, but he had no money. Now, why would a big business owner like Xander have no money, you ask? Well, he had spent it all on his mistress, who is now not taking his calls or texts. I guess she figured out that he won't be rich anymore. But now, No one is willing to date her because they know what a gold digger she is. What goes around comes around, I guess. Well, the mistress was the least of Sanders' troubles. With half of his business gone, his earnings were severely reduced. He had to sell his house because he didn't have much money to maintain it or even pay the mortgage properly. He's currently renting a condo that is a serious downgrade from the big mansion he stayed at. He did try to get back with me again in the hopes of regaining full control of his business. Well, safe to say that is never happening. He now either has to continue the way it is or manage to save enough money to buy me out. If you want to know about me, I'm actually doing pretty well. I have appointed someone to take care of my share of Sanders' business, and so far, things have been amazing. I ended up upgrading my lifestyle by buying a new mansion due to my combined income from law practice and business. Things are going well. I'm living my best life, and I honestly couldn't be happier. All in all, the divorce played out well for me. Instead of getting played by my ex-husband and his mistress, I ended up ruining their lives and bettering mine. Since we'll be departing from this place today, could you please relocate? We'll also cover the $473 monthly loan. With my daughter on the way, we no longer require your assistance. All right then, please take care of everything from now on. Despite the substantial support we provided to our in-laws, they easily shifted their trust to the younger sister. As I packed my belongings at the entrance, I shared something crucial with them. By the way, there seems to be a misunderstanding. The monthly loan repayment is... As I spoke, their faces turned pale in shock. My name is Emily, a 35-year-old office worker. I've been married to Tom for 3 years. We met through a mutual friend who believed we'd be perfect for each other, and that intuition proved correct. Tom and I were drawn to each other from our first conversation. Tom felt the same, and we started dating. 2 years later, he proposed, and I happily accepted. Our families supported our marriage, and we had a wonderful wedding attended by many. After our honeymoon, we began our life together, sharing household chores and enjoying a peaceful, stress-free life. Tom, having lived alone for a long time, was a great cook, which was a huge help. We cooperated in all household tasks, and we were grateful for each other's company. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye, and our bond remained as strong as when we were newlyweds. However, a significant event occurred when Tom's father fell seriously ill. We rushed to the hospital, and after a week of tests, he was released, but concerns about a recurrence lingered. Recognizing that they might not handle another emergency, Tom proposed the idea of living together. "What if we lived together with my parents?" he suggested. It was an expected proposal, and I agreed. We quickly discussed the idea with our in-laws. "Live together?" Tom's mother inquired. "It's not a bother at all," I reassured. "Emily and I are worried about both of you." "Thank you, both of you." Our in-laws, teary-eyed and grateful, accepted our offer, reflecting their underlying anxiety. We promptly moved in with them, and the mother-in-law, understanding that both of us worked, took the lead in household chores. Thanks to her, we could focus on our jobs, and the father-in-law, now retired, spent his days resting at home, which significantly improved his health. Life was joyous, and we all got along wonderfully without any issues. However, our in-laws eventually made a certain proposal. "I've been thinking about this for a while. How would you feel about building a new 2-family house?" the father-in-law suggested. "Huh, but this house isn't particularly spacious or comfortable for 4 adults. If Tom and Emily have children in the future, it'll be even smaller," the mother-in-law explained. "Considering the future, I've been thinking of building a bigger house where we can live comfortably for the rest of our lives. However, it's not something we can afford with just my savings. We will need to discuss and decide together." Tom and I were surprised by the proposal, but we thought it wasn't a bad idea. while the current in-laws' house wasn't too small, it wasn't particularly spacious or comfortable either. Long-term living there might lead to stress building up between us. Perhaps buying a new house where everyone can live comfortably is a good idea. After discussing it with Tom, we decided to go along with the father-in-law's proposal. Subsequently, the four of us visited real estate agencies to explore various properties. We considered making it barrier-free for our in-laws and ensuring there were plenty of rooms for future children. Ideally, the new house should be in a safe area, close to both a hospital and a train station, with easy access to grocery stores. Considering everyone's requirements, it seemed like it might be pricey. However, if we were going to live there for the rest of our lives, we didn't want to compromise too much. Every family member felt the same way, so with determination, we decided to build our dream house, even if it cost a lot. After some time, our new home was finally completed. The exterior and interior were both new and beautiful, lifting our spirits just looking at it. This is really amazing. I can't be sick anymore. I want to stay healthy and live here for as long as possible. The in-laws expressed their joy. My husband and I were equally excited, realizing that this would be the house that would be with us for our entire lives, even when we have kids. I want to play catch in the garden and have barbecues. That sounds great. Let's make lots of family memories here. We were overflowing with excitement and joy. Living in the house turned out to be truly comfortable, and it felt like the pinnacle of happiness. Being in a comfortable home made me even more enthusiastic about my work. Subsequently, my work went very smoothly, and both my public and private lives were fulfilling. I genuinely felt grateful for buying this house. The months passed in the blink of an eye, and 2 years had passed in this house. We continued to have a good relationship with our in-laws as always, believing that the days ahead would be filled with happiness. However, at least in this place for life in our new home, something unexpected happened. It was when the sister-in-law and her husband visited our new house. While this really is a nice house, it's not fair that only you guys get to live here. What are you talking about? We discussed and decided to buy this house with our parents, but I can't help but feel envious. When we were still living in a cheap winter, it feels like you're living beyond your means. The sister-in-law often visited our house during holidays and always expressed her envy. Every time, she would accuse us of being unfair. We've been paying the mortgage for this house, and it's quite a hefty amount every month. We're living within our means, earning enough to pay for this house, so there's no reason for her to complain. If we were to live here with the in-laws, it would be so much fun, don't you think? What? Can you even afford the mortgage for this house? My husband and I exchanged a glance. The sister-in-law probably just blurted out without giving it much thought. However, her careless words started to move my in-laws' hearts. It would be lovely if Kana could move and live here together. Yes, it would liven things up. Hey, what are you two talking about? Haven't we been living together all this while? Come on, I was just saying. Exactly. There's no need to panic, right? Ha ha ha. While the in-laws tried to brush it off, it was evident that they were enticed by the idea of living with the sister-in-law. The in-laws seemed to have a particular affection for her, even more so than for Tom. She is a beauty with delicate features and looks like a doll from her childhood. Being 4 years younger than Tom and born when the in-laws were older, they doted on her even more. This pampering led her to become quite spoiled, and Tom had to deal with her demanding nature. Having heard all this from Tom, I was always wary of my sister-in-law. For a while after we got married, Tom and I were both caught off guard because she didn't seem to be giving us any trouble. However, recently, she has been increasingly eyeing our new house. It seems she frequently visits the house during the day when we're at work. Oh, Emily, you're back. Then I'll be leaving now. Huh. I wish you'd stay a bit longer, but Tom and Emily might find it inconvenient. I don't think it's a nuisance. You might say that, but it's evident in your eyes and behavior. Unwanted guests should leave quickly. See you, Mom and Dad. Take care. When the sister-in-law left, the in-laws were visibly upset. They looked as if they wished she stayed longer. Even though they didn't voice their feelings, their faces and attitudes spoke volumes. Feeling out of place, I usually retreated to my room after work. When Tom came home, we head to the living room for dinner. The atmosphere around the dinner table grew more and more tense, with longer silences. Tom began to notice the change and started to realize that the sister-in-law was the cause. Around the time our relationship with the in-laws started to deteriorate, the sister-in-law finally made her move. One holiday, Tom and I went shopping in the morning. When we returned, there were unfamiliar shoes at the entrance. We exchanged glances, wondering if something was amiss. Then, the mother-in-law approached us from the living room. "You're finally back. We need to talk." The mother-in-law's tone was different than usual. As we entered the living room, the sister-in-law and her husband were there. "Ah, you're finally here. Kana, what's going on? From today, we'll be living here, so please leave." "What?" Tom and I were taken aback by her sudden declaration. "What is she thinking, moving in today? Hold on, it's ridiculous to say that all of a sudden." "It's not sudden. We've discussed this with Mom and Dad for a long time," the sister-in-law replied confidently. "Is it true you discussed this with them?" Tom and I knew the in-laws were swayed by the sister-in-law's words, but we had no idea things had progressed this far. "Kana and her husband said they'll take care of us from now on. I'll do the housework and even care for you when needed. Please rely on us, Mom and Dad. If our daughter is here, we don't need you anymore." A daughter-in-law who doesn't do housework or have children is no match for Kana. "What?" I was deeply hurt by their words. Seeing my shocked face, the sister-in-law smirked. "We'll pay the $473 monthly loan." "Okay." "Huh? $473? It's a great deal to live in such a nice house for that." Tom and I were dumbfounded. The in-laws were already planning to kick us out. After such treatment, we couldn't continue living there. "Is that settled? We can't leave immediately. Could you give us at least a week? We need to find a new place." "Fine." "Ah, you're looking forward to living with Kana and her husband from today." The in-laws looked disappointed the sister-in-law, but she and her husband were extremely happy that we decided to leave. "Calm down, Mom and Dad. The house isn't going anywhere. I'm looking forward to a week from now." The in-laws and the sister-in-law's family were thrilled to drive us out. Did Tom and I seriously consider co-living with such people? We quickly arranged to view rental properties and moved out within a week. The day to leave our home arrived. "Please take care of everything from now on. Don't ever get involved with us or come to this house again." Their words were harsh. We had supported the in-laws so much, and they switched allegiance so easily. Now we can finally live with Mom and Dad in this house. Living comfortably in this house with Kana is like a dream. We got rid of the nuisance after all. Our in-laws and sister-in-law kept insulting us until the last minute we were leaving. Little did they know they would face repercussions after this. Well, it's none of our business anymore. As I gathered our belongings and approached the entrance, I shared an important piece of information. "Oh, by the way, it seems there's a misunderstanding about the monthly mortgage payments. It's $1,825 every month, okay? Make sure you understand that." "What? Isn't the loan just $473 a month?" At my words, their faces turned pale all at once. "Hold on a second. Isn't the loan just $473 a month? You misunderstood, didn't you? This house is under our father's name, so the loan is contractually agreed to be paid off through a debit from Dad's account. Emily and I were planning to live in this house for the rest of our lives, so we told him he wouldn't have to pay. We were bearing all the costs. So I was transferring $473, and Emily was transferring $1,352 to our father's account every month. I guess Father only remembered how much Emily puts in his account each month. Moreover, we split the living expenses equally. Our parents probably never thoroughly checked the cost and assumed it wasn't a significant amount. What? No way. We can't pay $1,825 a month. We can't even cover the living expenses on top of that. How can Emily afford to contribute so much? I don't know how you perceive me, but I'm department head at a major corporation. I earn quite a lot. What? Emily earns much more than I do. As the in-laws looked shocked, Tom continued, "It's simple. In-laws were unaware of this. Well, we've decided to cut ties with you, so it's up to you to support our parents from now on." No way. Emily, Tom, wait. We were wrong. Let's live peacefully together like before, okay? What? Mom and Dad, are you planning to abandon us? You guys can repay the loan, can't you? If that's the case, shouldn't you live with those who can? That's not fair. Dad told me the loan was only about $473. That's why we came here. We've already canceled our previous house. That's not my problem. Isn't this mess because you wanted to move in with us in the first place, right? Your husband earns very little, doesn't he? But you always said family is more important than money and pampered me. When our livelihood is at stake, all of that doesn't matter. The quarrel between the in-laws and the sister-in-law was unbearable to watch. Well, we're leaving. Wait, regardless of what you say, we will never associate with you again. With that, Tom and I left the house and moved into our rented room. Despite the numerous messages from the in-laws, we ignored them all. According to our neighbors, the in-laws and the sister-in-law's family had no choice but to live together. However, they couldn't pay the loan and eventually had to let go of the house. When they sold the house, a considerable debt remained. Even after using the father-in-law's early retirement benefits for repayment, they still fell short. Sadly, they now live in a cheap, small apartment, all working full-time and part-time jobs to repay their debt. Apparently, the sister-in-law's husband didn't want the burden to fall on him, so he ran away. If only the in-laws had continued living peacefully with us, they wouldn't have faced these hardships. But again, it's none of our concern now. On the other hand, Tom and I found our rented apartment much cozier than anticipated. We plan to stay here for a while and save money, living happily as our savings grow at an incredible rate. We believe it's essential to save as much as we can for the future while still enjoying our lives with the occasional luxury. We aim for a happy life together in the years to come.
Hey, I'm Clara, and I want to tell you about a funny thing my husband's family tried to do. Tyler and I have been together for a long time. We met in college and instantly became best friends. His happy laugh and kind heart made me fall in love with him. We had a great relationship filled with dreams and memories, but Tyler's family had a weird tradition of playing jokes on each other. At first, I thought it was fun, but their jokes were mean and hurtful, not just harmless fun. Instead of making people laugh, they often made them feel embarrassed. I felt uneasy seeing how Tyler's family hurt each other with their unkind jokes. I didn't want to be the target of their mean humor. The first time I met them, they played a really embarrassing prank on me. Tyler's family had picnics every few months where everyone got together. Tyler thought it would be a good time for me to meet them. I was nervous but excited because I really wanted them to like me. At first, everything seemed fun. But then Tyler's dad, Kenneth, pretended to spill his drink on me. It looked like an accident, but it made a mess, so I had to change my clothes. Tyler's mom, Sharon, offered me clothes from their car, but when I opened the bag she gave me, instead of regular clothes, there was a big clown costume inside. I couldn't believe it. They planned to embarrass me all along. I felt shocked, hurt, and really embarrassed. I couldn't imagine walking around in a clown costume. How could they do something so mean just for a laugh? I reluctantly put on the big clown costume, feeling really exposed and embarrassed. As I walked back to where the picnic was, Tyler's family started laughing loudly. Their laughter made me feel even worse, especially with other people in the park staring and whispering. It was tough to handle their teasing, especially because I had hoped they would like me. Instead, they seemed to enjoy making fun of me. I felt really sad and angry, wondering why they would want to hurt me like that. It was so embarrassing, and I felt really foolish. I felt a mix of emotions, from shock to embarrassment to anger. Tyler saw how upset I was and got really mad at his family. What were you thinking? How could you do this to Clara? I specifically told you not to play pranks on her until she's comfortable with it. Oh, come on, Tyler, it was just a joke. We didn't mean any harm. This is just how we are. Harm? Look at her, she's embarrassed. I know we're okay with these pranks, but she's not, and you should have respected that. It's the one thing I asked of you. Tyler, relax. It was just a harmless costume. We didn't mean to upset her so much. Just a silly costume? Don't you see how much she's hurting? Mom, you know how much Clara means to me. I won't stand for this. Tyler, we didn't think it would upset her so much. We're sorry. Sorry isn't good enough. You broke your promise. If this happens again, I'm serious, I'll cut ties with both of you. I won't let anyone treat Clara like this. Tyler, please, we didn't mean to hurt her. We'll make sure it never happens again. I hope you mean it. I won't tolerate anyone disrespecting the person I love. I expect better from both of you. After the incident, Tyler apologized to me profusely for his family's actions. It was a big moment for us and showed me that our relationship was more important than their strange jokes. His kindness and understanding really helped me feel better. Sadly, that incident made things difficult with my in-laws. Kenneth and Sharon, my mother and father-in-law, kept making little mean comments about me, calling me names like wasp or party pooper. At first, it really hurt, but I learned to ignore them and focus on my relationship with Tyler. A few months later, Tyler proposed to me and we decided to get married. The wedding was amazing and we were both so happy to start our life together. Tyler's parents, Kenneth and Sharon, surprised us with an invitation to dinner at one of my favorite fancy restaurants. They said it was to welcome me into their family. At first, I wasn't sure if I should go. Kenneth noticed I was unsure and texted me an apology for how they treated me before. He promised the dinner was a way to show they accepted me. I reluctantly agreed to go, but I still felt like something wasn't right. I knew them well enough to suspect they had other reasons for inviting me. Luckily, I had a plan. The restaurant they picked was owned by my friend Connor. Connor and I shared a special bond that was more than just friendship. He was like a brother to me, always there when I needed him. We grew up together in the same town and became best friends in high school. Even though we lost touch during college, we reconnected a couple of years ago. Our friendship grew stronger, and I was overjoyed to see him get married. Connor was someone I could always count on. He was kind and caring, making me feel safe and understood. We laughed together, comforted each other, and celebrated together. Connor supported me through thick and thin, offering advice and a listening ear. He became a big part of my life, even making me the godmother to his first child. He wasn't just a friend, he was like family to me. Hey Connor, can we talk? Of course, what's on your mind? It's about my in-laws. You remember them, right? Yeah, I met them before. What's going on? Well, they're planning a party for me at your restaurant, but here's the thing. They love playing humiliating pranks on people. The first time I met them, they embarrassed me big time. Really? That's not cool at all. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Thanks, it was awful. But since then, Tyler threatened them, and they haven't tried anything on me again. But I'm worried they might pull something at this party. Don't worry, I've got your back. If they try anything funny, I'll be ready with a backup plan to save you from any embarrassment. Wow, thanks a bunch. I knew I could rely on you. Having someone support me like this really means a lot. Absolutely, you're like family to us. We won't let anyone make you feel bad. Just believe in me and we'll make sure you have a blast at the party. I'm really grateful for that. You're awesome. Haha, make sure to remind my kids that I'm awesome when they're older. Oh, stop it. I need some time to decide. After talking with Connor, I suddenly felt much better. I started to look forward to the party instead of dreading it. Connor's help made me feel more confident, like I had someone on my side. A few days before the party, I called Sharon to make sure everything was set for our reservation at the restaurant. Hi Sharon, I just wanted to chat about the party at the restaurant. I wanted to remind you how important it is to have the reservations right. Don't worry, Clara. I've got it all under control. You don't need to stress about it. I understand you're busy getting ready for the party, but the restaurant has rules we need to follow, and I want to ensure everything goes smoothly. Are you suggesting I can't handle it? I've planned many events before, you know. No, that's not what I meant at all. I just want to prevent any problems and ensure everything goes perfectly. Believe me, Clara, I've sorted out the reservations and everything will be fine. You can trust me. I felt both relieved and a bit worried. Even though Sharon said everything was fine, I couldn't shake off my doubts. I really hoped she had handled the reservations well and that the party would go smoothly. On the day of the party, Tyler and I walked into the restaurant. The receptionist greeted us warmly. We were familiar faces here because we visited Connor's restaurant often. A waiter led us to our table. But when we got there, something seemed wrong. There was a seat missing. Panic rushed through me as I asked about my seat, but Tyler's family burst into laughter instead of answering. Tyler, clearly angry with his family, confronted them. I can't believe you guys. This is totally uncalled for. You're aware of the restaurant's rules, yet you intentionally pulled that prank. It's not funny when it hurts someone. Oh, come on, Tyler. Don't be so serious. It was just a harmless joke. No, Dad, it wasn't harmless. It's embarrassing and not okay. You promised you wouldn't do anything like this again. Well, maybe now it'll be a real family dinner. I don't see why we have to include someone who can't take a joke in our family. Mom, that's not fair. Clara is my wife, and I won't tolerate anyone disrespecting her. How are you going to make this right? I couldn't believe they were brushing off my feelings so easily, calling it just a joke. It hurt to think they didn't understand how their actions affected me and didn't fully support our relationship. I really wanted them to understand and accept us, but their words just made me feel more hurt and let down. Right when things were getting tense, Connor walked in. Oh, look who's here. Hey, Clara, it's so good to see you. How have you been? Oh my goodness, hi Connor. It's been a while. I'm doing all right, thank you. Tyler's family organized a party for me to welcome me into their family. That's fantastic. By the way, everyone, I'm Connor, the owner of this place. Let's kick off this celebration. Wait a minute, though, there seems to be a seat missing at this table. What's going on? Oh, that's their little prank on me. They like playing jokes. I know you're strict about seating, but is there any chance you could make an exception for me? Sorry, Clara, I can't do that. If I made an exception for you, I'd have to do it for everyone. But don't worry, I've got a solution. We have an empty seat in our VIP lounge. How about you and Tyler spend the evening there? You'll have a great view and a comfy spot. Why does she get special treatment? This was meant to be a joke. There's no need for all this fuss. Well, it's important to ensure our guests feel welcome and valued, and I believe it's crucial to respect everyone's feelings. Anyway, Clara, your meal and all your drinks tonight are on the house. Enjoy your evening. Thank you so much, Connor. In that moment, my appreciation for Connor was boundless. Having him there brought a sense of peace and security. He led us to the VIP area, shielding us from the chaos caused by Tyler's family. They protested loudly, but Connor made sure we received special treatment. He simply signaled to one of the wait staff to take care of their table, and they quieted down immediately. I thanked Connor profusely for standing up for me and preventing me from feeling even more embarrassed. Tyler's support meant the world to me. His actions truly revealed his character and his commitment to keeping me safe. Despite his family's teasing, he stood by me, prioritizing our well-being above all else. It demonstrated the depth of his love and the strength of our bond. Sitting in the VIP area, surrounded by security and support, I felt immensely grateful for both Connor and Tyler. Their unwavering presence reassured me that I wasn't facing this journey alone. As Tyler and I ordered our meal and drinks, we started to relax and enjoy the evening. However, the night had more surprises in store for us. Hey guys, where would you like us to sit? We're all here for Clara's party, right? I don't think that's a good idea. We're good on our own. Well, what if we apologize? We're family and family shouldn't treat each other like this. Yeah, we want to make things right. Can't we all just move on from this? Are you serious? You didn't want her in the family before, and now suddenly you do. Or is it because you want to sit in a fancier place and get a free meal? You guys are a joke. Leave us alone. Tyler, we're really sorry. We didn't mean it like that. We were just messing around. Messing around? It didn't feel like a joke when you embarrassed me. Your actions spoke louder than words. Enough. We don't want to hear it. Just go. Tyler, please no. Mom, it's time you both understand the consequences of your actions. Leave now. Connor, sensing the tension, stepped in and politely asked Kenneth and Sharon to leave our table. When they refused, he warned them of involving the authorities. Finally, they begrudgingly walked back to their table. However, Connor followed them and requested them to leave his restaurant, citing complaints from other customers about their disruptive behavior. With no other choice, they left, their heads hung low in embarrassment as everyone in the restaurant witnessed their humiliating departure. That night, Tyler and I had a wonderful time. We laughed, ate, and enjoyed drinks with Connor, celebrating our victory over Tyler's family's failed prank. After that night, Tyler's family bombarded us with angry texts, blaming us for overreacting and causing a scene. Their words hurt, worsening the strain between us. It felt like the aftermath of a storm, with no calm in sight. Instead of engaging with their negativity, we decided to take a stand. We realized we didn't need their toxicity in our lives, so we blocked them, putting an end to their hurtful words and actions. Cutting ties with Tyler's family was necessary for our emotional well-being. We refused to subject ourselves to their constant ridicule and cruelty. It was a freeing choice that allowed us to focus on our love and supportive relationships. Life went on, and Tyler and I flourished in our love and unity. Our bond grew stronger, and we created our own loving family free from his parents' toxicity. Thanks for sticking with me through this roller coaster story. Remember, the sweetest victories often come from unexpected allies. Don't let anyone's cruel pranks dampen your spirit. Stay true to yourself, and you'll always come out on top.
My husband Jack revealed Andy's prenuptial agreement upon receiving his inheritance, declaring, "I don't need a life with you anymore. I'm inheriting $5 million. I don't need you when I have that money." His cold words signaled the demise of our marriage after years of living together. I felt like a mere obstacle in his pursuit of wealth, but he remained oblivious to the significant secret tied to the $5 million inheritance. Mom, is it true that Grandpa is in critical condition? My daughter Sophie's unexpected question caught me off guard. Ethan, Jack's father, had a serious health problem, and the information was supposed to be a secret between Jack and me. Did you get that information from your dad? The only one who could have told Sophie was Jack. Yes, and on a call from Dad, he told me to renounce Grandpa's inheritance. Sophie's words unsettled me. With a single phone call, my peaceful life was about to be shaken. A few days after Sophie's revelation, Ethan passed away peacefully. Since getting married, I had lived with Jack's parents, providing unwavering support during their health struggles. It had been 5 years since Jack's mother passed away, and now, with Ethan's passing, the funeral went smoothly. Yet just as I thought I was free from tension, Jack's behavior underwent a dramatic change. "What are you doing here? Why hasn't it been cleaned properly lately?" Jack frequently pointed out minor dust and small stains. "I'm sorry, I must have missed it. I'll clean it right now." However, the issue wasn't just about cleaning. "Why are you serving this? I wish you'd pay more attention to the taste when you cook." Even the dishes he used to enjoy were now unappreciated. "Is there something bothering you lately?" I gathered the courage to ask, but it only worsened his mood. It's useless to deny it. To be honest, the food you make isn't good. I've been tolerating it because my parents never complained, but I've always felt its tastelessness deep down. Jack's words pierced my heart, marking the first time he had criticized me so severely. My mom always cleaned and did laundry perfectly, and at meal times she cooked with care without cutting corners. You're nothing like her. I've been patient, but I can't stand it any longer. This was the first time he compared me to his mother and criticized me. All I could do was deeply reflect on myself. I'm truly sorry. I couldn't have imagined that he valued my cooking so little. Tears started to flow uncontrollably. "Do you think anything will change if you cry? Your tears mean nothing now. Don't show them to me." Jack abruptly stood up, leaving the house and slamming the door behind him. As he walked away, I called out, "Jack, where are you going? Come back." But it seemed he didn't hear me. My mind was in turmoil, unable to comprehend this sudden change. Until a few months ago, we were a couple sharing everything, holding hands, and navigating life's challenges together. I couldn't understand how we had become so distant. And then I remembered. The call from Sophie revolved around Ethan's inheritance. There was a hint of hesitation in Sophie's voice that night. Jack arrived home much later than usual, and I missed the chance to inquire about it. I wondered if Jack had discovered information about the inheritance and chose to keep it to himself. Attempting to approach Sophie, I questioned why they were discussing inheritance while Grandpa was still in good health. Sophie expressed doubts about Jack's actions and mentioned conveying the same concerns to him. Considering Sophie's words about the inheritance falling into her hands if not divided differently, I couldn't help but recall Jack's recent cold behavior towards her. Doubts crept into my mind. Was he planning to take all the inheritance and abandon me? This thought tightened my chest, and tears welled up once again. In my pain, I became acutely aware of the sounds around me. As the room fell eerily silent, the phone rang suddenly, echoing throughout. Though I didn't feel up to answering, considering the importance, I checked the caller ID. It was Jack's name, the same Jack who had left the house earlier. Answering felt tiresome, but I didn't want to face any backlash for ignoring it, so I hesitantly picked up. "What are you doing? Don't keep me waiting. I'm running out of time." His sudden, authoritative tone caught me off guard. He was indeed stubborn at times, but yelling without reason was unlike him. Shocked by his changed demeanor, I let out a slight sigh, hoping he wouldn't notice. "What's wrong? Is there a problem?" I asked. "I have something to talk about. I'll be home soon. Stay home and wait for me." His voice sounded noticeably colder than before. I replied with a brief "okay" and promptly hung up. Looking at the clock, I realized more than 3 hours had passed since Jack went out. Overwhelmed with confusion and pain, I hadn't noticed the time. After a while, I heard the door open and Jack's footsteps. A sweet scent of body wash, one we didn't use at home, wafted from him. That unfamiliar smell intensified the pain in my chest. "I'll be straight. It's over. I want to end our relationship. As a token of gratitude, I'll give you $220,000. I'm genuinely tired of you not managing things at home. I want to live peacefully in my old age," he declared. Linda, who had dreamt of a peaceful old age, now faced the shattering of that dream by none other than Jack. "Why are you?" Her words trailed off as she searched for what to say. Jack looked at her with a smug smile. At that moment, a bright ringtone from Jack's cell phone filled the room, an unfamiliar tone different from his usual one. To Linda, it felt like this unusual sound hinted at communication from a specific individual. "I'm sorry, but I haven't finished my errands yet." Linda sensed a slight softness in Jack's voice, different from how he usually sounded towards her. It felt somewhat kinder and more intimate. Furthermore, the sweet scent of body wash, the unique ringtone, and the change in tone hinted at something he might be hiding. "Linda knew it," whispered quietly. After ending his call, Jack looked down at Linda with emotionless, cold eyes. "My intentions haven't changed. I want you to sign this document. I'll contact you later. Make sure to have it signed by then. I don't plan to come back to this house. Remember, this house is now yours." Without uttering another word or even looking at my face, Jack headed towards the door. What did our long marital life of 40 years mean? A few days later, I found myself at a lawyer's office gathering information about Jack's actions and Ethan's inheritance. When I explained it to our daughter Sophie, her complexion changed. It was painful to reveal our mistakes to our daughter, but out of love for me, Sophie shed tears and showed strong determination to confront Jack. She introduced me to a lawyer to support us. "Hello, I am Robinson. I will be handling your case. I will support you to the best of my ability." The woman named Robinson, sitting across from me, seemed to be in her late 40s, exuding a calm aura. Her neatly groomed hair and professional attire provided reassurance. I'm truly sorry for approaching you suddenly. My name is Lily Johnson. I'm a bit nervous since it's our first meeting under such circumstances. That's all right. I have already received some information from Sophie, Robinson assured me. Based on what I'd researched and the information Robinson separately gathered, we verified the facts. My husband didn't have any siblings, so if Sophie renounced the inheritance, the substantial fortune of about $5 million would all go to him. We also uncovered an important fact about his affair with a woman named Jennifer through joint investigation. How do you intend to proceed from here? Mrs. Robinson asked in a gentle tone and soft eyes. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, I said, appreciating her. After exchanging fees and a brief discussion, I quietly left the office. 5 days later, I received a call from Jack proposing a meeting at a quiet cafe. I arrived a bit earlier, choosing a seat by the window to enjoy the calm outside view. When Jack and his new girlfriend Jennifer walked in, he smirked with a sense of pride. Are you prepared for the divorce? I was a bit surprised that this was his first statement. It seemed he's convinced he's in full control. Is this your new associate? I hadn't expected him to bring her to such an important discussion, and I was astonished at his decision. I wondered if he was the man I once deeply loved, or had he changed because he cheated, or was he always like this? I couldn't tell. Are you Jack's wife, right? My name is Jennifer. I've recently started dating him, she said. Her sudden smile left me grappling to grasp its meaning. I've read a lot about you from Jack. Seeing you in person, you too look a bit aged. I wonder how Jack endured all these years. I feel a little sorry for him. Indeed, Jennifer seemed to take great care of her appearance, looking much younger than her actual age in her 60s. Compared to her, I might look my age, but I couldn't accept the way she phrased it. Jennifer, it's those tendencies of yours I warned you about. But indeed, if it were me, I would cherish you more, she continued. I know, Linda. I don't want you to overthink it anymore. I just want you to file the divorce papers, Jack interjected. I was taken aback by Jack's expected attitude. Hold on, there's something I want to discuss. A hint of confusion was evident on Jack's face. What are you getting at? Is it all about your father's inheritance? Is that why, after all our years of marriage, you're deciding this? I wanted to know the truth behind all these events. I can't see how my father's inheritance and you are related. That's solely my father's. I've heard detailed stories about your father's vast inheritance from Sophie. I know how much it's worth. So what? That inheritance isn't for you to take. But I'll answer. Actually, more than the inheritance itself, the end of taking care of my parents is one of the reasons I want to part with you. Just a caregiver role. How had Jack seen me only as a caregiver and not the loving wife I used to be? I didn't even have the energy to cry. Can we speed this up, Jack? I want to start a new life. Besides, have you still not let go of Jack? Don't make me repeat myself. I'm not thinking of a new start with you now. I want you to file the divorce papers. Waves of emotion struck my heart with intense anger and deep sadness. My hand quivered slightly. Taking a deep breath, I pulled out the divorce papers. But my name isn't written yet. The situation isn't settled yet. To hand it over, I asked, you remember promising me the house and money, right? Yeah, I did say that. I'm a man of my word, so I plan to give you the house and money. His response surprised me. You say you're kind. But a truly kind person wouldn't just use their wife as a mere caregiver and then abandon her. So I'm demanding rightful compensation of $30,000 and the rights to the house. What compensation? When we talked about money, it was supposed to be $20,000. You always nitpick at the very end. Your attitude of trying to pay me the absolute minimum is so obvious. But the difference of $10,000 means a lot to me, so I think $30,000 as compensation is fair. Your girlfriend, it's Jennifer, right? I thought of claiming from her too, but in lieu of that, I want to settle for $30,000. And I intend to sign the divorce papers right here in front of you. Unexpectedly, Jennifer commented, $30,000 should be fine, Jack. Pay it if you're satisfied with it. With her statement, Jack finally accepted the alimony of $30,000. Now we need Jack's signature on the land title change document Mrs. Robinson prepared and the notarized alimony agreement. Jack looked surprised by my preparations, but I calmly said, I have a life to continue to, easing his suspicions. We took out our respective seals, lined up at the designated spot, and Jack smiled as if he anticipated something. So, Linda, will you sign the divorce papers right now? Understood. I agreed, saying, here's the divorce paper. As I carefully wrote my name and firmly stamped it, Jack couldn't hold back his laughter and burst into loud guffaws. With this, you and I no longer have any relationship. Also, I have something to tell you. Actually, I'm set to inherit $5 million, so I didn't need someone like you anymore. Thanks for the divorce. What a foolish ex-wife you had, letting go so easily for just $30,000. It's surprising. Behind me, as I left, the loud laughter of Jack and Jennifer echoed. I hurriedly left and headed to the city hall. My only goal now was to complete this procedure as quickly as possible and sever ties with the two of them completely. They might be laughing happily now, but I wondered how long their happiness would last. A month later, I quickly sold the house I received from Jack, prepared for a new life, and decided to live near my daughter Sophie, who planned to start her life near her husband's parents' home. Since Jack's mother lived nearby, I thought there would inevitably be moments I'd feel cautious. Contrary to my concerns, Sophie's husband warmly welcomed me and was always considerate, which I found very reassuring. My daughter Sophie seemed angry at Jack's actions at first, but when I told her a certain fact, her expression changed completely, and she smiled brightly. I had a hunch that Jack would soon realize my plan. As proof, I deliberately didn't change my mobile number. The day that intuition became a reality came sooner than I thought. From the afternoon, my mobile rang repeatedly, and sure enough, it was Jack. He called many times, but at first, I purposely didn't answer. After receiving repeated calls, I finally picked up. Hello, why are you doing this? I couldn't hide my surprise. What's the matter? You called out of the blue, raising your voice. What's the problem? Where are you right now? I thought he might have visited the house we used to live in. But in reality, that house had already been sold, and the new tenant might have moved in, or it could have become an empty lot. Considering this fact, the image of Jack's panicked demeanor surfaced in my mind, and I felt a little sorry for him. Since we've decided to divorce, there's no need for you to be involved anymore. Where did Sophie go? I can't find her. It seems he went to Sophie's previous house. Of course, she wasn't there. I managed all the information and procedures related to Sophie's husband's family home, so Jack had no way of knowing. He seems to have hit a dead end and contacted me. Yes, actually, Sophie has moved to a new place. Why didn't you tell me something so important? Moreover, did you know about that too? It seems my husband finally realized the truth. By that, are you referring to the significant hidden debt that Ethan had? Actually, when I investigated Ethan's inheritance in detail, I was shocked by the amount of the inheritance. But at the same time, I found out about a considerable hidden debt. Probably, while he was alive, he estimated he could repay the debt with about $5 million and hid that fact from us. However, he passed away midway through repayment, and the hidden debt was left neglected. And when you officially receive an inheritance, you are also obliged to inherit such hidden debts. Jack was blinded by the allure of easy money and neglected thorough verification and investigation. That was his big mistake. So, I have a question. Did you really know about my dad's debt? Jack asked. Information is easy to come by. It becomes clear to anyone with a little search. That's why I noticed it. I imagined Jack turning red with anger on the other end of the phone. Anyway, what about the promised money? What about the money you intended to return? I had my suspicions, but his real goal was money after all. Besides, about that property. If I had known about my dad's debt from the beginning, I wouldn't have gotten involved at all. I understand how you feel. I thought it deep down, but I chose not to say it. But think about it, putting aside the money issue for a moment. You got to marry a very attractive woman, right? Isn't that pretty lucky? Of course, I don't know if Jennifer chose Jack because of his assets or if it was truly love. As soon as Jennifer found out about my debt, she left me. I thought she would. It's exactly as I expected, Linda. Think about it. How about starting over with me? I feel deceived by Jennifer. I just realized now you're the person I really need. The tone of Jack's voice suddenly dropped and became emotional. I wondered if he had forgotten everything he did to me. I'm cornered. Every day, I'm being rushed by collectors, and the debt I can't repay is piling up. I'm at my limit. I really feel my life is in danger. Help me, please. Even after hearing his desperate plea, I calmly thought, if I were in this situation, would Jack help me? I carefully chose my words and took a deep breath before answering. Right now, I'm living peacefully and am truly satisfied. And in the days to come, I want to live in peace. You might have forgotten, but remember what was said at my response. Jack was momentarily lost for words on the other end of the phone. You mean back then? Yes, exactly, Jack. I'm really grateful that we were able to get divorced. Thank you for giving me a chance to choose a new path. I felt the tremor in Jack's voice and his tears, but for my future, I made up my mind and quietly ended the call. This marked the complete end of our relationship. I don't know how Jack's life is now or how he's repaying his debt, but I hope he's making an effort somewhere. Linda, how about taking a walk outside while looking at the beautiful scenery? Currently, I'm enjoying my days with a wonderful person I met through a hobby in Chicago. He's very warm and always with me. Spending time with him brings me unparalleled happiness. Please ensure the loan repayment, will you? While I was at work, an unexpected email popped up. Upon hastily reaching out to him, Greg calmly began to explain. Oh, sorry about that. I've fallen for someone else and decided to start a new life with her. Furthermore, he revealed his plan to take the luxury car recently purchased in my name with a loan. Despite my attempts to dissuade him, my husband ignored me, abruptly ended the call, and became unreachable. In the end, Greg disappeared with his mistress, leaving behind a substantial debt. As a mother to our 10-year-old son, I never envisioned such an unfair situation. I found myself at a loss, unsure of what to do, my mind going blank. At 35 years old, my name is Hannah, and my husband Greg is the same age. We were a family of 3, including our intelligent 10-year-old son Ryan. Ryan had displayed remarkable intelligence from a young age, reading papers on the computer and seeking my opinion on complex topics. In contrast, Greg was unstable, never holding down a steady job. Despite my full-time job and concerns about our future, Greg had recently maintained a stable income for 3 years. Lately, Greg spoke of making memories as a family, leading us to decide on buying a $35,000 camper van. However, due to Greg's inability to pass the finance company's loan review, I ended up taking the loan for the car. On the eagerly awaited delivery day of the camper van, I received an abrupt email from Greg stating he would graciously take the delivered van since the loan was in my name and I would handle the repayments. Confused, I called my husband immediately, only to hear him confess, "Well, I've fallen in love with another woman and decided to date her. I intended it to be just a fling, but it turned serious, so I'm thinking of starting over my life with her. Bye." He mentioned the divorce papers we had discussed during a previous fight, declared he would file them, and unilaterally ended the call. This exchange marked the first time I realized I had been betrayed by Greg, a shocking blow. Subsequent attempts to contact him yielded no response. When I returned home from work and checked the drawer where the divorce papers should have been, they were already gone, leaving me burdened with a significant debt from a $35,000 car loan. Despite my repeated attempts to reach out to my husband through emails and calls, I never received a reply. Ryan, noticing my unusual behavior, came to check on me with concern after dinner. "Mom, what's wrong? You haven't been eating much lately. Are you okay?" Yeah, maybe. I'm just tired." When people lie, they look up to the right. Lying is bad. I've noticed Dad hasn't been home for 3 days. Did something happen between you two? Startled by Ryan's sharp words, I took a deep breath to calm myself. Feeling that I could no longer hide the truth, I decided to tell Ryan everything. "I see. It's just like Dad to do something like that. Aren't you sad?" "No. I kind of understood from how things were going." Ryan, seemingly foreseeing the future, appeared unconcerned about our parents' divorce, but I knew he must feel sad about it in his heart. While silently apologizing to Ryan in my mind, I worked desperately, trying not to think about the dreadful events. However, my body was honest, and gradually my health deteriorated. There was a training session planned at work that day, but I couldn't stand up and ended up squatting down. "Sorry, I can't stand up right now. I need to take a break." I heard my colleagues' voices full of concern, but I couldn't respond and collapsed. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in a hospital room. I received a diagnosis from the doctor that I needed detailed examinations, and I was admitted to the hospital. Hannah thought, "I feel so pathetic. It's supposed to be just emotional stress." Looking at the IV drip in my arm and the white ceiling of the hospital room, tears naturally started to flow. At that moment, Ryan, who is usually calm, rushed into the room with an extremely worried look, prompting me to quickly wipe away my tears. "Mom, what happened? Is it serious? You're not going to die, right?" "Of course not. I wouldn't leave my dear son alone." That's good, really. I was called by the school teacher and told that you were taken to the hospital. I was so shocked. My heart nearly stopped. Ryan is usually mature for his age, but he's still only 10. I felt a strong resolve to get better for his sake, but my condition was worse than I thought, and I was diagnosed with a serious illness. The doctor advised, "You should have surgery as soon as possible. Please make a decision quickly, following the doctor's advice." I underwent surgery, and by the time I was discharged, it had been a month since Greg had left. When I returned home and opened the mailbox, I found a demand letter for the car loan payment. Hannah thought the repayment should have been automatically deducted from my account. In panic, I checked the account balance with my cash card, and the balance, originally $20,000, was now only $33.90. Hannah thought, "Greg did this. I want to ask him to return the money, but I can't contact him. What should I do? Since I don't have the camper van, I can't sell it." After Greg left, everything seemed to be going in a bad direction, and my mood sank deeper. Seeing me saddened by my series of misfortunes, Ryan put his hand on my forehead. "You look pale. Are you feeling sick again? You don't seem to have a fever, though." "I'm fine physically, but you see, your father not only took the car, but also all the money we had saved. I can't work yet due to my physical condition, and now we have no money. I'm at a loss." "I see. Then I'll deliver newspapers, and I'll search the internet to see if there's any work I can do." Encouraged by my 10-year-old son, I told myself that it wasn't the time to be down. "Sorry for worrying you. I can't afford to be weak. I'll change my mindset and try to do whatever I can," I said, smiling at him. Ryan also smiled back and then said something unexpected. "Let's plan how to get the car back from Dad." "How can we do that? The camper van is in your name, right?" "Yes, but what about it?" "Then maybe we can?" Ryan suggested an idea that I couldn't even imagine. I had never thought such an idea could exist. "Also, I have no idea where your father is." "Then let's check on my phone. A month ago, Once when we went hiking as a family, surprisingly, Ryan, who is usually very reliable, got lost. At that time, we bought a kid's cell phone on Ryan's suggestion and installed a GPS app on it, which both Greg and I could access. With this app, I can see where Dad is in real time, and he's been moving around a lot. Oh, is that so? But what if we find him, and he just says something vague and escapes again? As I pondered this, Ryan smiled and made an intriguing suggestion. Don't worry, I've already taken precautions. What did you just say? To my astonishment, Ryan had acted independently while I was in the hospital, achieving something unbelievable. I thought, I can't believe such a smart child came from me. Understanding Ryan's words, I was simply amazed. He had even caught wind of Greg's mistress. All right, let's teach Dad who betrayed us a lesson. Okay, let's start the plan right away. Together, my son and I prepared for that moment. Hannah thought, with Ryan by my side, I'm invincible. Bring it on, anywhere, anytime. 3 days later, my phone rang. Ah, it's me. Please, I need your help. Oh, who might this be? Don't play dumb. It's your husband. Obviously, I'm being questioned by the police about you. At this rate, they might ask me to come to the police station voluntarily. Help me out. Oh, is that so? Just wait a moment then. I immediately went with my son to where Greg was, and to my surprise, it was a forest park near our house where camping was possible. Greg was being questioned by the police in front of his car, looking bewildered. Feeling pathetic, I sighed and told the police we needed to have a talk as a couple and asked them to leave for a while. At that time, Greg seemed uncomfortable being watched by the people around us and urged Ryan and me to get into the car. Inside the car, Greg's mistress was sitting cross-legged, glaring at us, but that was no longer important. Sorry about that. Thanks for coming. But why did the police suddenly show up at my place? I don't get it. That's because I filed a report about the missing camper van. What? Why would you do that? It's obvious, isn't it? My car was stolen. Greg, foolishly thinking that actions between spouses can't be criminal, was saying nonsensical things. But the world isn't that naive, you know. You filed for divorce, remember? Forgot? So we are strangers now, and you're driving a stranger's car without permission. That's a crime. Ryan figured all this out. Typical, sharp as ever, that kid. But I didn't steal the car. I just borrowed it for a bit. Oh, is that so? Well, I'd like to use my car now. So could you return it? That would be really helpful. As I reached out my hand, asking Greg to return the keys, he reluctantly handed them over after confirming it was returned. Ryan quietly started talking. Hey, why did you abandon your family and choose to play around with this woman? Caught off guard by his son's unexpected question, Greg was flustered and awkwardly scratched his head. Seeing this, Greg's mistress chuckled smugly and started talking. It's because I'm more attractive than your mother. Look at me, you can see it, right? He fell head over heels for me and decided to leave his family. Quiet. I didn't ask you, old lady. Dad, you answer. Mandy was silenced by Ryan's stern tone, but Greg remained quiet. If you can't explain, that's fine. I'll just have the police come back and arrest you. Wait, hold on. Okay, I'll talk. Mandy, it turns out, joined Greg's company 3 months ago. They were attracted to each other and became involved at the welcome party for new employees. Later, it was discovered that Mandy was pregnant, and Greg decided to start a new life with her, leaving us behind. Why did you take the camper van? I quit my job and thought about selling the car for money. But it seems like you were using it quite a bit, weren't you? I thought it was a waste to sell it right away, so we decided to go on a trip. Wait, how do you know all this? Remember when Ryan got lost? After that, as a precaution, we bought him a kid's cell phone and installed a GPS app. Did you forget? We installed it on your phone too, so I knew where you were all this time. By the way, I later found out from Ryan that he had pretended to get lost during our family hike because he wanted a cell phone. I was amazed at Ryan's ability to think and act so strategically. I suspected something was off with Dad, so I came up with this plan to monitor his actions. You really are a terrifying child. I will never become an adult like you, Dad, who betrays important people without a second thought. Greg, faced with the hard truth Ryan told, was a pitiful adult unable to offer any rebuttal. In contrast, seeing Ryan, only 10 but able to think and speak his mind firmly, gave me a sense of strength as a mother. I felt I couldn't lose, especially in settling things properly. Also, return the $20,000 you withdrew from my account right now. That was our joint property as a couple. I don't have to return it. No, it's not that. The money was what I saved little by little since I was single after all. You always quit your jobs midway, so we hardly ever saved money together, did we? I was appalled to hear that the $20,000 had been squandered by Greg and his mistress. It was the moment I felt relieved about divorcing him. So that's how it is. But if you stole and used the car and my money, that's going to be a serious crime. What? I just sent the police away, so it's not their business anymore, right? I only said we would talk. I have no intention of withdrawing the complaint. I must add the theft of my money to the report. Mom, should I call the police now? I can do it with just one button on my phone. Mandy, Greg's mistress, had been watching our conversation but quickly tried to get out of the camper van. At that moment, she let out a scream that echoed around. The reason was that outside the car door, Mandy's parents were standing there, faces red with anger, about to explode in fury. Startled, she stepped back as her parents yelled at her. "Ah, I'm sorry. Don't be so angry. But why are you here, Mom and Dad? I called your parents beforehand." "What? Why?" The truth was, during my hospital stay, Ryan had visited Greg's office and tearfully told them, "My dad left the house with a woman we don't know, and my mom collapsed." Seeing Ryan's sorrowful and frail state, the people at Greg's office suspected Mandy, who had left the company with Greg, and gave Ryan her parents' address. Greg and Mandy had been overly friendly at the office, and there were photos showing them together at the welcome party for new employees, looking like a couple. After learning from the office people that you commuted from your parents' house, Mandy's parents were standing there, faces red with anger. "I went there with your photo, and your parents came out when I visited. Then I told them everything that had happened. So today, I contacted Mandy's parents and asked them to wait nearby for a while." "How could you do this to me? The worst. I don't want to hear that from you." That's my line. "By the way, your stomach seems quite big. When is the baby due?" "In 3 months." "What? Wait a minute, that doesn't add up with when you met my husband. You two met only 3 months ago, right? What's going on? It's not time for the baby to be born yet." Greg, hearing this for the first time, stared at Mandy, eyes wide. "Wait, what does that mean? Are you stupid? Don't you get it? It takes about 9 months from conception to birth, which means the child she's carrying isn't yours. You're so foolish." "What do you mean, Mandy? Have you been deceiving me?" "Ah, I almost got away with it. Can't help it now that I'm caught." "You're so naive. You can't see through lies at all." "Really? A fool? Don't mock me. My whole life is ruined because of you." "What were you thinking?" Greg and Mandy started an ugly argument, but nobody intervened, letting them have it out. Meanwhile, we contacted the police again to explain the situation. As it began to get dark, the forest park was brightly lit by the red lights of the police cars. "No, really, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I'm sorry. I'll work hard and never cheat again, so please just don't arrest me, Dad." People don't change that easily, especially lazy people like you. Exactly, Ryan's right. I can't trust you at all. Reflect on your actions and pay for your crimes at the police station. If I get arrested, I won't be able to pay back the money. Is that okay with you? I don't mind. Pay me back after you've atoned for your sins. Take your time, don't worry. I've already found you a place to work. Let's see, there's Ryan's child support plus the $220,000 you stole from me. I'm not sure how much it will all add up to, but you'll work and pay it all back. I had one last thing to say to Mandy the mistress. You might think you're just an onlooker, but don't forget you're an accomplice to Greg's theft. Be prepared for that. When I told them that Mandy would have to pay if Greg couldn't return the stolen money, she shivered in fear. Mandy asked her parents for help, but they refused, saying, "We disown a daughter who causes trouble for others." Thus, Greg and Mandy were taken away in a police car together. Thanks to Ryan's smart strategy, we were able to punish Greg and his mistress, Mandy. Though they were released from detention soon after, they faced a hefty payment to me. Through a lawyer, I claimed $20,000 in damages. Additionally, I made Greg agree to pay $500 a month in child support for Ryan. I introduced Greg to a subcontracting factory of the company I work for. The support and other charges I claimed from Greg would be deducted from his salary and paid into my account. I also sold the camper van and was freed from the auto loan. Since then, my health has improved remarkably, and I am now energetically committed to my job. Ryan has been actively helping with household chores and errands. I want to keep moving forward strongly so that Ryan can pursue the path he loves without giving up.